and welcome to tonight's EllieMD Educational Series. I'm Laura Waghorn, Director of Training and Field Services here at EllieMD, and we're so glad you're here as we continue our mission to support healthier, longer lives. So today's special segment, Real Journeys, Real Outcomes. It highlights the powerful personal stories of some of our EllieMD patients and brand partners who've experienced life-changing results with peptide therapy. So these are real people with real stories, and we're honored to share their journeys with you. So we're super excited to welcome three incredible guests. We have Julio Concepcion, Lauren McDaniel, and Brittany Bridwell, who have not only transformed their health, but are now passionate advocates for wellness and longevity. So welcome, everybody. Brittany, we're going to start with you. Welcome. You're 36 years old from Greenville, South Carolina. You're a mum of three, nurse practitioner on a weight loss journey with your GLP-1, GIP, and B12. And Brittany, you're down 60 pounds. I mean, wow, that's an incredible achievement, 60 pounds. So tell us, what made you decide to start on this GLP-1 journey?
I've been a part of Ellie for about 9 months now. And for me, the GLP-1 journey was kind of one of those last ditch efforts after trying every other diet that I knew. I've struggled with my weight for as long as I can remember. I remember even back as far as my teenage years, having the feeling of being bigger than my friends and that bothering me and starting to diet even from those young years. And looking back, I'm like, I was never big, but I always struggled with that image and feeling like I was overweight. And so, insert college after high school and the unhealthy habits along with binge eating and habits that came along that carried with me into my adult years. And working as a nurse in the emergency room and just really creating unhealthy habits, working on night shift and then, swinging shifts and just never really having a good relationship with food and knowing what to do. Even though I knew what to do, I didn't always put it into place. Sometimes it's easier to swing through a drive-through than it is to make a healthy meal or go to the grocery store and meal prep. And so after college, married the love of my life while I was working in the ER, both of us nurses. And, during that time, I feel like weight just started to pile on. And unfortunately, over the last 12 years, I've gained quite a bit of weight. And it's led to some health issues that have followed, such as high blood pressure and some autoimmune disease and things that I'm not proud of, but I knew I had to take control of. So in 2022, I developed optic neuritis. And for those of you who do not know what that is, optic neuritis is a precursor to multiple sclerosis. So I lost vision in my right eye, was hospitalized for a week, and I was pumped full of IV steroids and sent home on oral steroids. And I was at my biggest weight at that point, non-pregnant. I was inflamed. I was defeated. I was being discharged, unsure of what the future held. Knowing at the time with two children, I still wanted another child, but here I was hearing all these medical diagnoses that were just terrifying. And I knew that a lot of this came from my weight, unfortunately, and having high blood pressure and other precursors. And so I started doing everything right. I was eating right, exercising, meal prepping, doing all the things. I was under the supervision of my primary care doctor, who I love and respect. And I just told him, I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I feel like I'm doing it right. I felt like maybe there were some hormonal issues going on, but I was like, I need something else to help me. And he's like, I think you're a perfect candidate for a GLP-1. We're starting to see that this research that's been going on for a long time is being very beneficial to clients for weight loss. And so I was like, let's do it. So at that time, insurance approved it for weight loss. And so I started my GLP-1 journey at that time, and that was 2022. I was on it for about 6 months, lost about 35 pounds on semaglutide. And then I found out I was pregnant with my third and miracle baby. And so obviously came off of it during that time, give it a weight during pregnancy, and just I really still continued the good healthy eating habits, but I still obviously had the weight gain with pregnancy. And so postpartum, and being a little older, I started noticing I was having, a lot of the same issues with weight gain and getting that inflammation and weight loss off again. And so even with putting all the right tools in place, I still needed help. And so that's where LEMD comes in. Last August, I was called by a dear friend and was introduced to this beautiful company. And obviously now insurance does not approve GLP for weight loss, unfortunately. And so that's where LEMD came into play. And I was able to start back on a GLP. I did semaglutide for about 3 or 4 months and decided to hop on over to tirzepatide. And making the change to tirzepatide has really been a game changer for me. I feel like that's when my weight really started to come off quicker. But still, over the course of a year, I've lost around 60, 65 pounds. And I mean, I'm steadily still losing. I feel so much better. The inflammation is much different than it looked 60 plus pounds ago. I also have started on NAD for energy and mental clarity. And I can honestly say that at 36, I feel better than I did in my 20s. And I'm just so thankful for my GLP journey and now having NAD in my life. And I can't wait to add some more peptides to my health, because obviously knowing now the benefits of peptides as a nurse practitioner and a healthcare provider, I see what it can do for my health, and I want to share it with everyone that I know, because my mom actually struggles with chronic pain, and she's been on our BPC for pain ever since we came out with it. And for somebody who has been in the bed for the last 6 months dealing with chronic pain intermittently, for her to have relief, it's literally worth whatever money it takes, because my mom is an avid cyclist who cycled 30 plus miles a day, and I've seen her come out of chronic pain and suffering, and I just can't even begin to tell you how amazing peptides are and what they've done for me and my family. And so I'm just so honored to be here today, and thank you for having me, Laura. And I'm so excited for everybody that's on this call, and I hope that you'll take the leap and start your journey, whatever that may be, into peptides.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I'm it's so glad to hear about your mom and her story as well. That's incredible. So I do just want to ask you a couple of quick questions, Brittany. So obviously you've had
Sure.
that weight loss, you 60, 65 pounds, you said. What did that do, like in terms of food noise and your energy levels and things like that?
I mean, after having optic neuritis, I was struggling with fatigue. I mean, I felt like it was, for my age, really extreme. Some days hard to even get up and do normal task on top of working, and obviously being a mom. And so energy levels where now I can run and chase my kids. I can play with them. I can get in the floor. I can run outside with them. We can go and do scooters and race with them down the road. And so it's brought life back to me. And so that's something I'm so thankful for. And I truly, even once I get to my weight loss goal, I still have about another 40 pounds that I would like to lose. But once I get to my weight loss goal, I do intend to microdose and keep that inflammation off, because there's just so many amazing health benefits to microdosing, such as cardiovascular protection and neuroprotection and reducing risk of Alzheimer's. And I just can't wait to see in our lifetime what other studies come out that show the health benefits of GLPs, because I think it's going to be a game changer for so many people in the future.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, your doctor recommended you started on these, and when you first started taking it, did you experience any side effects? Because that's one of the biggest questions we always get asked: is if I take this, what am I going to experience? So, for you personally, did you have any side effects?
The only side effect that I really experienced was when I was taking semaglutide. I did notice a little bit of nausea occasionally, and I never could find a trend to when that was happening. But I will say that when I focused on increasing my water intake and focused on increasing my protein intake, that seemed to lessen. And so the only other side effect that occasionally I would notice after an injection was a little bit of body aches at times, and it wasn't every injection, it was just certain injections. So um but it was never anything profound, and I discussed it with my doctor, and he's like, as long as it's not something that is causing you major issues, he agreed, keep going. You're doing the best thing you can for your body at this point. So I think it was just mostly when I adjusted to different doses where I struggled with those side effects.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for Brittany for coming on and sharing your story. It's an incredible story. And we can't wait. You're still on that journey. You said you've got another 40 pounds to lose. Then you're going to move over to the micro dosing for that maintenance dose. So that is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for being here and sharing that
Thank
journey. It was a
you.
privilege having you here.
Thank you all so much.
So next up, we have Julio. So Julio faced a life-altering health crisis back in 2019. At the age of 40, heart failure, a stroke, several metabolic issues, including obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, borderline pre-diabetes. Now, he's a husband and a father to 8 children. So he knew he had to fight for his health and his family. So while running his glass company, he shifted his focus to wellness. So driven by his desire to live a long, vibrant life for his children. So with determination, lifestyle changes, medical support, and key medications, Julio reversed his pre-diabetes and transformed his well-being. He's now 45 and he's committed to helping others take charge of their health and build a life of energy and longevity. So firstly, welcome, Julio. Okay, so
Yes.
just tell us a bit about what your life was like before you took back charge of your health.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the panel. I'm just super excited to be part of EllieMD. Um, what my life was like prior to getting sick in 2019. I mean, I was in the gym every day. And I was overweight. I was bulking up. And I hadn't started bodybuilding or anything like that. I was just always body built, but never like for competition or anything like that. So I was a little overweight. I was about 254 pounds. And I was just turned 40 years old. And I just got done telling my wife, 40 is the new 20. I'm joking around. And then wham, I'm hit with like this sickness for like 11 weeks. And they didn't know if it was COVID. It was right before COVID hit the market. So it's kind of like wild that I was sick for 11 weeks. I had 2 Z-Packs, nothing could touch it. And through that duration of time, I started working on my heart and I was in heart failure. I had no idea. However, I did notice around that time, like I wasn't able to just bounce back like I used to. And before I used to be able to bounce back in my 20s, early 30s. But once I hit my 40, it was kind of like my metabolic system just took a turn, and it was not for good, And so my bounce back wasn't there, and I couldn't lose the weight, that I wanted to lose, and so then I was in total heart failure. I had no idea, full blown edema. Went to the hospital, sick guy, and had no idea that I was even sick. That was the craziest part about this, is not knowing that you're sick, thinking you're totally fine. And having 8 children with a glass company, multiple businesses, it was stressful. And I had no idea that stress was taking a toll on me and my metabolic system. And so then, I'm thinking I'm eating good in healthy salads. It wasn't helping. I wasn't losing the weight. And I'm like, what's going on? And then it wasn't until after that happened, the doctor stripped me down. I started learning the science of eating food and making the changes, and started doing some research. And I started studying the peptides. Now, peptides market, and I was really touching it, using them for certain situations where I started getting back into the gym, because I was out of the gym for 2 years and I went vegan totally. And that kind of reset my whole system, which was really cool. Learning how to eat right. And then as I started using the BPC 157, that's why I stand behind it so hardcore, because I started using it for muscle tears and tissue tears and small injuries. And I would see the effect of it. Now, this is black market stuff. I was taking a total risk. And then I just said, you know what? I want to go ahead and use the prescribed stuff, because I don't know what's in this stuff. And so I started paying through the nose for this. Like, I remember using Semarelli, $954 a month. That was steep, but I was willing to use it, because the HGH causes your body's own natural production. And so I understood it very well, from testosterone boosters and so on and so forth. And starting to get into the bodybuilding world. and just started seeing the great effects in it, but it was wicked, wicked expensive. And flip the script about, 5 years down the road, LEND falls in my lap. And right where I was looking for something to do, something to create another stream of income, to go ahead and create, a better lifestyle with myself. Like I was studying out NAD. And so what ended up happening was I said, whoa, this NAD stuff. And then it just LEMD fell in my lap. And so I had been studying it for like 6 months and I'm ready to take it. I was ready to buy. And then it just came into my life, through LEMD. And, prior to this as well, I was helping, I helped 4 people overturn type 2 diabetes. They were pre-diabetics, 2 pre-diabetics and 2 people that were just right on the cusp that just became type 2 diabetics. One of the kids I was working with helped him lose 150 pounds, but we used the GLP-1. So I understood it. I understood how to use it, how to work with it, how to keep the diet plan working. And it was just amazing what I seen the GLP-1 doing. Now, I didn't quite understand it. So people were asking me questions and I kind of kept that under the radar because I didn't want anybody knowing about it because I wasn't, all the way thorough on it. And then once, I began to get really educated in GLPs, it became an amazing, amazing, amazing feature. I mean, I don't even talk about NAD and BPC as much as I talk about the GLP. I'm just amazed by it because I'm watching what it's doing to my wife. And I'm watching the weight fall off. As a bodybuilder, I'm jealous because I got to get on that dang treadmill for like 2 hours, a day, to lose 1.5 pounds a week to get ready for competition. I just watched this woman lose 10 pounds, fall right off her body, equally redistributed off of her body. And it was just amazing, to see. And then I'm looking at her skin, she's glowing. And she's not having any of the side effects that people were talking about that I used to fear. Because I used to push people away from the GLP and say, well, why don't we do this naturally, not understanding fully about metabolic dysfunction. And so as I begin to study and do research, and I'm realizing, whoa, there's people that can't help it. Because I used to be gridiron tough, okay, diet down, work, 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 work. But it isn't like that for everybody because everybody's different. And as I begin to understand more, I begin to work with more people. Right now, I'm currently working with about 3 women and 2 guys. One, 2 of the guys I'm helping to body build, and one of the guys I work out with every day. And then 2 of the women I'm helping to train. And one of them just started taking an NAD. And she wants to switch to our NAD because she understands it. And I told her all about the features of NAD, how it really helps you rebuild damaged DNA. And then I started going into deep dives about damage in DNA and looking at the toxicity that we come in contact with on a daily basis. So it's just kind of just amazing that this fell into my lap at the time for such a time as this, because as I'm beginning to help people and get educated more and more, about the GLPs, I started studying and I said, holy smokes, we have the holy grail in our hands, because I'm reading that it could possibly potentially become a viable treatment for Alzheimer's, which they've been scavenging the earth for. And I'm just like, wow, it really, what they're finding is it suppresses the inflammation, right, in the brain. And this is what causes Alzheimer's. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And this is just going through this, and peptide's been around for over 30 years. But it's now that we're just hearing about them on the mainstream. And really, in essence, as I'm doing some research, they don't really want this happening, because I read this crazy article and I believe it, is that they hired this guy that makes food addictive. And they're trying to make the food more addictive than the GLP-1, because the GLP-1 is having such great effect that it's causing a major stir in the food industry, where people are buying less food because they're not addicted to the food as much. And I said, I believe this 100%, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I know just how people operate and how much money is involved. And so I'm super excited for all that we're doing here at EllieMD. I don't care how long it takes to build this thing. We're going to build this thing to the moon, and it's
Yeah,
just going to be
absolutely. I
beautiful.
love this. And just going back to that, with the food industry, obviously when you're on a GLP-1, you don't eat as much. You are fuller quicker. So that's where that ties in. So don't always believe everything you read on the internet, but there's definitely some truth to that because people don't eat as much when they change their diets. They're looking for the healthier lifestyle. And you use that GLP-1 as a tool. So it's definitely, don't believe everything that's out there, but definitely do your research into this, guys. There's so many um trials and reports on all the different benefits that are out there. So definitely do your research on it. So Julio, I want to bring you back just to the BPC 157. Obviously, you're a bodybuilder. You've been using this, so I want to hear a little bit about more of the benefits that has brought for you.
Absolutely. And one of the benefits that I see, because we have to eat a lot of food, right? So sometimes there's disruption with our stomach, right, and our digestion. And one of the things that BPC 157 is known for is really crippling that metabolic dysfunction that we have and taking it right out by the jugular. And what I mean by that is extinguishing it, taking it away. And that's what's happened with me is as you eat more and more food, and some foods disrupt your stomach because we have to constantly eat, and sometimes it's kind of disgusting, But what the BPC 157 has been doing is settling down my stomach, causing my digestive, issues that I was having to cease. One of the things that I've noticed right away is when I do bicep curls and we go heavy, I'll feel the strain and tension in my forearms, right? Because that's what happens. You're tearing muscles and then they're rebuilding. Well, the BPC 157 I've been using right within the injection site, within 6 inches from the targeted site, which I'm targeting, is healing very quickly. I noticed in about 2 weeks' time, like I felt like nothing was happening there. I'm not naive enough to go try it again and just start lifting heavy weight again, but I know that it worked and it's working and it's healing. I give it that time before I start going in hard, but I still will lift lighter weights, and so I'm noticing a great effect in the healing process, and it's rapid. It's not even just a little bit; it's all the way through.
Yeah, I love that. And then you bought in the NAD plus. So what impact did that have? Obviously, that's energy, kinetics,
Yes.
clarity, recovery as well. So what role does that play in?
All right, so let me tell you about NAD. I've been super excited about this one, and and so there was a time where about 3 weeks ago, we had a real stressful situation at work, and we had a shower that wouldn't fit up the stairs, and it was a big shower, very costly, about $5,000, and I would have probably pretty much had to throw that glass out and start over and reconfigure it. Well, because I've been able to be laser beam focused with the NAD, and I feel myself getting more done because when you're able to laser beam focus on something, you're able to get more done, right? And so I was able to bring this piece of glass, figure it out to where I'm bring it up 40 feet in the air, push it through a window, and get the job done. And I figured all this out on the fly. Like I had to do this, but like everybody around could tell you it was kind of I want to say euphoric in a way where it just flowed. And we got that piece of glass up there, no problem at all, just like we were gonna just naturally do this. And I was laser beam focused. We got it up there through the windows. The kids that were working with me, they're novice, and so they were very amazed at how we did this. And I'm looking at myself like, wow, I was able to really lock in, focus, and get this done. The kid was happy. His shower was complete. And one of the things I can say is that with the NAD plus, I've noticed that I'm able to lock in, focus, and get a heck of a lot more done in a natural day, kind of like back in my 20s. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. That is one of the things a lot of people say, that focus, that laser beam focus. So right now, what is your like your current peptide routine? So what are you what obviously we know what you're taking. You've told us what you're taking, but how often are you dosing?
Okay, so with the BPC 157, it's 3 times a week. So that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I dose with that, and that's about 40 milligram. I mean, 40 IU's. And I'm sorry, 50 IU's, and then with the NAD, that's once a week at 40 IU's, and it's a very small prick. It's subcutaneous. You pinch the skin, go in on an angle, inject it in. Very, very simple. I actually did a video on it, how simple it was, because there's a lot of people that have phobias and fear of needles and stuff, and it's such a small needle. And I was kind of like a pincushion in the hospital, so it doesn't bother me. But one of the things that naturally I began to experience was just no injection site irritation, and just a very easy time, just going ahead and, administering. And the administration was very simple, very basic, and almost nearly next to, you know, no trouble. And then you could be a total novice, not knowing what you're doing, but the instructions are very clear on the bottle. And there's no reconstituting yourself like I had to go through trying to guess, Googling this, Googling that for information. So there's no guesswork. They take all the guesswork out of actually administering it to yourself and being a newbie. So it's awesome.
Oh, well, that's good to hear, because a lot of people they are scared of that injection, that initial getting over that fear. Once you've done it once, guys, it's totally fine. I was the same, when I first got I was like, I don't know if I want to actually inject myself, but the benefits that come from it are so worth it. So, Julio, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. It's great to see you fit and healthy, doing everything you love again, and laser focused at work. It's awesome to see. So, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that story.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
So next up, we have Lauren McDaniel. So Lauren is a part-time nurse turned wellness entrepreneur who helps others feel better, boost their energy, and build additional income through powerful peptide products. So she's been married to Eric for 16 years, and together they've embraced the peptide journey. So they're passionate about showing others what's possible through health and freedom. So welcome, Lauren. I'm super excited to hear your story.
Well, hey, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I am
Can you
very
hear
well,
me?
thank you. We are
Okay.
excited you are here. So tell us, what got you started on peptides in the first place?
So, weight loss. Obviously everybody wants to lose weight, and that is, I have to go behind. I mean, gosh, Brittany and Julio have all, they've said it all, but I had I've always struggled with my weight too. And then I had about after kids, I'd been at my highest weight, and I'd done Weight Watchers. I'd done keto. I had done faster way to fat loss, like all the things, and still could not keep my weight off. And thank the Lord for peptides, because they came in and started weekly injections, and with the semaglutide, lost 35 pounds and have kept it off. My husband, who's a needle phobic, he has done the same thing. He is even giving himself his injections now. So not only did we lose our weight with this, but I have a history of high cholesterol, like in my family, genetic, like it goes back years, generations. And after I lost my weight, I thought, hey, yes, heck yeah, my cholesterol is going to be great at my next visit. And it was still high. And I was like, well, dang, it wasn't high enough to need medicine or anything, but it was high enough that I wanted it to be lower. So I was like, whatever. So I stayed on the microdosing, just like Brittany was talking about, for the heart health benefits, the decrease in the inflammation, all of those things. And I went back this year and I have not lost any more weight. I've stayed the exact same in my weight, but my cholesterol had dropped from 194 to 168. And that was without medication, without statins, anything like that. So I'm definitely going to continue microdosing with that, not only to help keep my weight off, but the inflammation down, and my heart health, because that is definitely protective, need to protect that. But the brain benefits, like you cannot say enough about the benefits that are coming out of GLP-1s. And yeah, and we have some more amazing products. My story is not as dramatic and impressive as everybody else's, but I think that the GLP-1s can honestly help anybody. Anybody. It doesn't matter your weight. It doesn't matter with the microdosing now. Like longevity is here, and we are here to help people have quality lives. So, um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know your story is really impressive, Lauren. So obviously you've been taking the GLP-1s. So talk to us a little bit about the appetite control and the energy and things like that since you've been taking it.
So I will say my appetite, I always thought about food, like food. It wouldn't matter. I was eating something. It'd be like, okay, when am I having my next meal? Like I'm thinking about the next, preparing, like always wanting a snack. Just could not get full. And the food noise is a real thing. But once you start taking these, the food noise not being there is such a gift. Um, the appetite suppression, getting fuller faster, like not only eating half of your plate because you thought that you needed the whole thing, and you're like, you cannot overeat on this. And if you do, you're going to be sorry that you did. But yeah, food noise was the thing that was the game changer for me. Not thinking about food, not always wanting food, being able to have like that, just being full, but not, not needing everything else. So,
Yeah, absolutely. That food noise is a real thing. And once that quietens down, it's just amazing. You feel great. You
yeah,
don't want to, I mean, you can walk past the cookie jar and not want to take a cookie. You know, how
yeah,
many people can say that?
for
But
sure.
also you've been taking BPC, but you've been taking it as the capsule form. So how are you
Yeah.
finding that? Over the injectables, you went for the capsule.
So, well, I did, by default. I wanted, my husband had started on the BPC injections and he has seen a major improvement, like being able to get out of the bed, not having to like just normally he's stiff and that, we're getting older. We're in our, I'm gonna turn 40 this year and he's gonna be like 42. And so getting out of the bed, is a struggle sometimes and just having to wake up and not be stiff. He can say he's like, I feel so much better just by this. So I was like, okay, I want to try this because I have like a little, back pain and different things. And well, I went to order them, they were out of stock. So I was like, well, I'll try the capsules. Let's just see. I also have some gut, like with the GLPs, I did have the side effects of the like constipation, slowing the gut down, that kind of stuff. So I've had to stay on top of that. So with the BPC capsules, I was looking forward to the gut health help that it gives. So with this, I have noticed that this is, we're all here. I'm a nurse. I don't care about talking about this, but I'm having like normal poops again. So it has definitely like settled and helped my stomach get back to where it needs to be. I am noticing some more like some relief in my back. I am noticing a little bit. It's taken me a little longer to notice the effects than with him. He noticed it after like the second injection. But now it took me about 10 days to start really feeling the benefits of it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it and not having to take a shot, that does help. This is daily. That was 3 times a week. But it's easy and it helps your pain, it helps the healing, your immune system, gut health, so all of that. So I'm
Yeah.
pleased.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad it's helping. So for you and Eric, what does a typical peptide week kind of look like for you guys? You're doing it together? Do you do it on the same day? Do you make it a thing where you do it together?
Well, we don't really. So I'm microdosing. I don't always, my injections are really about every 2 weeks is what I do with my semaglutide. Um, Now my BPC is daily and it's a pill now. So I'm honestly the only injection that I'm on right now is my semaglutide. He is on the BPC and the GLP-1. He is still on it, and he does his is just a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing, and I think he takes his semaglutide on one of those days with his BPC. So, yeah, we don't do it together. We just do our own thing. But now we have ordered. Well, this may be TMI, but hoping that the thrill pill comes in pretty quick, and we'll be telling y'all about that too. So
Oh yes, the
that'll be
thrill pill.
fun.
That's
We're
our
gonna.
newest product. Everyone's super excited. We're starting to hear the testimonials from that. So I can't wait
Yes,
for to come on and share that with you guys as soon as we have a few more of those. So
yes.
Lauren, you've ordered that, have you?
Oh yes, he got a shipment that is coming, so
Oh,
we're excited.
oh, you're in for a good weekend, Lauren.
That's it. Yes, yes,
Oh,
fun.
that's fantastic. I'm not going to embarrass you anymore, but that
Oh
is
no,
brilliant.
this.
So it's just amazing just to hear all these different stories and how these are helping people in such different ways as well. You know, people experience all
Mhm.
these different things in life. And I mean, the weight loss is one thing, but the longevity and those other health benefits that come with it that we're hearing about as well, they're just amazing. So I want to thank all of our guests for sharing your stories today. And peptides really are a turning point for so many people. Now, next week, every week we have an EllieMD educational series. So next week we have Sally Sykes, who is going to be back. And if you've ever watched Sally before, she's fantastic. She's going to give you some really great information. So keep an eye out for the emails to come and join the call next week. So thank you to all of our guests, to Brittany, to Julio, to Lauren. And we will see you again next week, guys. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing week. And we look forward to seeing you next week.